Plebby16.
We're here. What's up, you damn plebeians? Neil Balding Plebs, brother.
I am the immortal one.
The immortal, or is it the immoral one?
The immortal one, Mr. fucking YouTube, baby.
All right, Mr. YouTube. We're here finally to talk about it. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Go.
Go where?
I'm down the road to the sandwich shop and pick me up a sub.
Ah.
Give me your thoughts. What do we think? So this is about, I would say, I'm probably 50 to 60% or so the way through the 50% of the way through the game or so.
Yep.
What's your thoughts? Lay it on me.
I think there is a lot of good here. You know, I'm going to start out. I'm going to say that I think there's a lot of good here. Now, you know, everybody's going to have their opinion on. You know, they're going to split this into 2 or 3 things, right? And they're gonna milk us fans for everything we're gonna give them. But I still think you're getting a really enjoyable experience here for your money. That being said, you know, there is still a part of me that thinks maybe you wait on this till it's in that $40 range. We were talking earlier, and we said that was really the sweet spot on where we think this should be, knowing that it's multiple parts. And that you're probably going to be able to pick this up in the full collection, a la a Dark Souls type thing at that $60 price point, you know, in the future. But if you got to get in and play it, I don't think you're going to be hurt at the $60 price point because we like what we're seeing here. Number one, you can see the graphics for yourselves. I think it's really well done graphically. Great character models, really brings these characters to life. And this is something we were talking about a lot. How, you know, when they were like the little block hands and doing this type of stuff, right, in 97 or whenever, it just doesn't quite, you still get the emotional feels because the story is strong enough, but there's something about seeing it like this 20 years later, 25 years later, the graphical upgrades really bring this area and the characters to life. So that for me is a major positive here and is probably one of the biggest selling points as it is in most remakes. But it's definitely a huge selling point here as far as being able to experience this again. You've got an excellent score in this game. Phenomenal music here. That really pulls at the heartstrings when it needs to. I think Final Fantasy is well known for that. I have no problems with the music here or the voice acting at all. I think this is some excellent voice acting. You've got some really great additional scenes, expanded scenes. We did the one that sticks out in my mind is the bike race that we did that I thought was really cool, kind of a boss fight. What was the guy's name again?
Roche.
Against Roche. Really neat scene there. And so you have some of those really memorable moments that you're going to remember. Really excellent looking Tifa and Aerith and Jessie. Big plus for Mr. fucking YouTube, baby. And Sephiroth looks as badass as ever. Has that chilling psychopath voice that I love in my villains. Really brings him home for me. Sephiroth is a rock star in this game as far as really creating that evil big bad that we kind of loathe, but still sort of kind of want to be. The whole thing with these ghosts, alright, let's just get this out of the way. I don't know where this ghost thing is going. We haven't gotten to the end of this yet. I don't know if they're even going to solve it in this part. It's like having the like Dementors or whatever from Harry Potter. I probably can take it or leave it. It's not necessarily ruining it for me. I think fighting them is a little lame. But, I mean, Aerith looks good, so I guess I give it a pass.
Let me know when you're done.
I'm done. Go ahead.
It's gonna be Resident Evil 3 Remake all over again.
She's giving you a flower, dude. Isn't that just adorable? There are some really adorable scenes in this game. I mean, a lot of you basement dwellers, you haven't had a girlfriend, so I mean, I think this is as close as you're gonna get.
Okay.
So
time for the review. Okay, all right, here we go. So let's talk about the game graphically. As you're seeing here, it's absolutely stunning. For the most part. Some of the scenes, if you really pick them apart, like when we're by Aerith's house in the flower beds, flowers look like absolute dog shit.
yeah,
They're
you get
big
some
clumps
clipping,
of.
yeah.
They're just fucking globs of pixels. If you look really closely, even on the 4K, I was kind of disappointed.
Well, it's almost like sometimes you get like really great graphics in front of you at the focus, and then the off stuff is really lame.
Either way, we're by the flower beds. Kind of look like shit sometimes, but you know what? For the most part, graphics in these
look at
sequences.
her eyes, dude.
You're not listening. Let me talk. Graphics and sequences like these are absolutely fantastic, and I really loved what they did with this. Did a great job. Pull you into the game. They pull you into the experience with this. Really, really solid. I like it a lot. There were there's some graphical areas in the game where, like, if you really look closely, you're like, oh, that kind of looks like shit. You didn't do very good here. But then you look a little bit later, you look at something else, you're like, hey, that's really beautiful. So it's like hit and miss graphically, but for the most part, it's a really strong hit.
I think you also mentioned, when we talk about the way that these characters and their emotions are conveyed, you just saw it here in some of the scenes we just watched, the eye detail that you get in some of these scenes and the emotions that are conveyed through the eyes in this game is freaking incredible. I love it.
Sure. Let's talk about the controls. Before I continue any more of my review or any more of my breakdown discussion here, I'd like to let it be known Final Fantasy VII is my least favorite Final Fantasy. I am not a Final Fantasy VII fanboy. I did not grow up for the last 20 years saying, God, I hope they remake Final Fantasy VII. I have a rock-hard boner for it. I can't wait to play it again and again and again. So I don't feel like my review is skewed by that lens at all. So this review will not be through the lens of a fanboy. This review will be through the lens of a lifelong, I would consider myself a lifelong Final Fantasy player. Probably started around 8 or 9 when we had our shitty gateway PC.
Yep.
I did play Final Fantasy VII, the original, growing up. That being said, let's continue on with the review. Let's talk about the controls for this game. And one thing where I really want to make a point, I am a turn-based combat guy. I always have been, and I think I always will be, in some types of games. So I really like Final Fantasy VIII. I liked 7's original combat. I like 9, 10, combat systems like that, right? As soon as we started getting out into like the kind of the mix between the two, and then when we got out into like the full-on, like in Final Fantasy 15, the full-on active battle systems, that's where it really kind of started to fall apart for me. This battle system, whatever they did, feels good.
Yeah.
I like that I can take control of all 3 of my characters, and that I am not beholden to just playing as a single character or only summoning with a single character. Like when the summon is available, we'll get to that in a minute. When the summon is available, I can summon, Ifrit with Cloud, or I could summon that Chocobo one with Barret. I had it equipped on Barret. I actually chose to summon the Chocobo. So that was pretty cool. I like that, right? I remember in Final Fantasy 13, one of my biggest gripes with it was I could only summon as the character, my main character at the time, the main character I was playing as. I don't know how much you knew about 13, but I did play through the full game, and I found that to be very restrictive, and I didn't care for it.
Yeah, I think the battle system, just to add a little bit more to it, is very well done, okay? I like that, you see the enemies on screen. You choose to engage with them. I mean, sometimes, obviously, it's a linear path, so you're going to get them.
It is.
But, okay, you see what you're getting. You've kind of got your party, right? So it still kind of maintains some of those old feels, but it's new enough now where, some of the battling, the way that you can dodge and move around and attack, the different stances you can use, it just feels like you're a little more in touch with the battle, and you're not like the god giving the directives, right? I like that. You're way, way bigger on turn-based battle systems than I am. They were fine at the time because I don't think, I knew any better, to be honest with you. But, when you go through that 2010s, right, and you've played the Dark Souls and you've played the different active battle system games, it would be hard for me to go back to a pure turn-based battle system in a $60 title.
Very true.
For the most part.
Very true. And, at the end of the day, you do also have to remember that it does depend on what you're looking for.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So, for me, when I saw that this game, when they first showed it and they first showed off the active battle system, my first initial reaction, I think you remember it, was, fuck. Well, this is going to suck.
Well, I think one of the things, too, that I said was, I hope this isn't a button masher. Right? You get some of those ARPG type things, and they're literally crap, just smash the attack until whatever.
Yeah,
I don't think we really have that here.
I mean,
on some of the low level guys.
Yeah, I don't really worry about. I don't even think about the low level fights when I'm doing this breakdown.
But when you look at some of the higher level fights in this game, some of the big fight feels,
it requires.
It's not just sit there and hack away at them. I mean, there's a dance
for sure.
It.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about all that stuff too. But when I first saw that it was turn based or that it was active battle, I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. This is going to suck. And when I actually got my hands on the demo, and I remember saying this during our demo breakdown, at least I'm fairly certain I mentioned it. I hope I did because it was important. I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
I did not hate it. I actually really enjoyed the battle system. For all the little nitpick gripes you could pull out here and there, there's a lot of really good things to this battle system. Fun little nuances, whether it's holding, L1 to get your shortcuts. Shout out to my live stream chat who actually brought that to my attention. I had no idea you could do it. So I really like that. Whether it's doing something like that or whether it's switching between your three characters to use their strengths and weaknesses in the battle appropriately, that was something that I found to be a really, really cool concept, and it was something that I really enjoyed about this game, is that it made me more aware during these active battles, as opposed to just sitting there and holding square, switching to Punisher, holding square, hitting square, moving, as opposed to that, right? It makes me be more active during the combat. So I really like that. Keeps me engaged, keeps me focused, doesn't let me just, let my eyes zone out and just go wide-eyed and just be done with it. Mm-hmm. So I really like that about the combat system. Obviously, I like the effects, too. I like the variety of enemies that I'm seeing. Sure, you get in certain areas, they're going to have certain enemies. That's just the way it is. It's always been that way in Final Fantasy games. And it's the way it is here. There's some cool, stronger enemies you can fight, whether you're taking on these bounties, you're hunting certain monsters, trying to clear out the town, build your name as a merc. We'll get into the whole side questing thing a little bit later here. But it's some really cool stuff that they bring into the battle. They got some really cool enemy designs. And I like what they did with it overall. I actually think the active battle system, I think this is the first one of the first active battle systems in an RPG like this that I've really enjoyed.
Yeah, I think it's by far the best that we've seen in a Final Fantasy.
For sure. That's a fair statement.
For sure. By a long shot.
Yeah, I would take a battle system like this over Final Fantasy 12, the original Final Fantasy 12 any day.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, that's neither here nor there. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about these intense, demanding battles. Let's talk about the boss. I think it's the Airbuster. It's called the big fucking floating robot thing. Really cool boss fight. Requires you to balance magic uses with items and healing via your three characters that you have active at the time, with your limit breaks and your summon, using that at the appropriate times. And it definitely requires player input.
Exactly.
Right? It's not just, like I said, square, switch, heal. Square. It is a really cool to pop back and forth between the characters, hit them with lightning, hit them with thunder, and, then you switch back over and you heal your character that just got hit, and then you pop back over and you use the ether on your character that just used the magic, and then you pop over, hit him with another thunder, hit him with another thunder, hit him with another thunder, all converge on him, pop limit breaks. It was really cool,
it's
right? To see the flow of the combat.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that it wasn't just it didn't feel just like yes, there's probably some level of you're high enough level to beat this guy, but it felt like maybe if I was one level less and not as strong, I could have beaten him by using smart strategy, right? By hitting him with the magic that he's weak against, by healing when it's appropriate, and keeping my characters topped off at all times. It puts control of the battle in my hands, and it makes me, the player, feel like I fucking matter. And I really like that. Okay, audio. For those of you that don't know, full disclosure, I have Final Fantasy VIII's soundtrack signed by Nobuo Uematsu and Arnie Roth. I'm a very, very big Final Fantasy music fan, right? Sat, 4 rows back at Distant Worlds in Milwaukee 5, 6, 7 years ago. Absolutely.
Phenomenal concert.
We loved the music. Got to meet Uematsu, got to meet Arnie Roth. Really cool event, really awesome stuff, right? It's been a huge part of my life since I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Final Fantasy VII has good music. who doesn't know One-Winged Angel, right? I mean, it's gone all the way into pro wrestling with, like, Kenny Omega and his finisher move, the One-Winged Angel. So think about that stuff, right? Like, this stuff is permeated society. The music is memorable. The beats, the sounds, all that stuff. One thing I will say about this game that they did with the music, that it is very tough to convey 20, 25, however many years ago. And you can tell me if you agree or disagree on this. Originally, when we had the little block hand guys running around and you had the music playing, yes, the music was beautiful. It could convey a sense of emotion. I agree. I will not discredit that. But when you have character models like we have now, and you have these interactions, which we're going to get into in a minute, like we have now, and we have characters that are interacting with each other, and you have drama, and you have happiness and sadness and anger and resentment, and you have all these different emotions like we have now, like we can show now with face capture, with all these different things. The music only enhances these situations, and it gives you a much deeper feeling, I feel, than they ever could have back in the day, which of course I understand we're comparing apples to like super apples.
Well, there's no doubt about it.
And I understand that, maybe it's not a fair comparison, but the point is that the music has come such a long way, and we have the remastered versions of it now, right? And they're just you listen to some of these sweeping scores. I actually took time out during a live stream when we were exploring a scene, and I said, guys, let's just listen to this music.
Yeah. Right?
And you listen to the music, and it just enhances. The music serves to enhance your gameplay experience in a Final Fantasy game, in an RPG like this. And I feel like, how do I say this? In the original games, I feel like if the music wouldn't have been there, they wouldn't have been as good.
That's no question.
And I'm in no way trying to discredit the original game, but as somebody who's looking back on it, what really, got me when I was a kid, when One-Winged Angel first hit, when they first started playing that theme, I'm like, holy shit, it's go time, right? This guy's for real.
Well, hey, if you got your own theme music, I mean, that's like Hulk Hogan coming out.
No, but you know what I mean, though, right?
You gotta have your own theme music.
Dude, the music only serves to enhance the gameplay experience, and there's a feeling, there's an energy that it brings out in a player, and that it brings out in an experience. And I feel like the combination of the characters, the interactions, the graphics, everything with the music, spot on in this game. If I have to give any part of Final Fantasy VII Remake a 10, it is the audio.
Yeah.
It is fan-fucking-tastic. Another thing I love about it, and of course right away there's going to be somebody that's going to say, I hate the voice actor, or I hate the voice actress, or I hate, whatever, of this character. I can't believe they chose this person. I think the voice acting in this game is fantastic.
Excellent.
I think it's absolutely phenomenal. It's fun to listen to. I can hear the emotion when the characters talk. I literally feel like Cloud is the really tough guy, really tough loner guy, trying to act disinterested.
But really wants Jesse naked.
But he really wants to, he does want to help. Even though, as bitchy as he acts sometimes, and as droll and as, I'll do it myself, as he acts sometimes, you just know deep down he wants to help. And you can see it in his character and the way he moves and stuff. So the voice acting in this game for me is spot on. Spot on. Let's talk about some of these expanded character interactions. Dude, how about getting to go on the bike chase with Jesse?
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, did you know that if you stay above 80% bike health, you get a kiss from Jesse?
Oh, I didn't.
I know, dude.
But it makes you kind of want to replay that
Kind of makes me want
shit.
to replay that whole segment again. But anyway, how about some of these expanded character interactions? Now, we may have seen some of this stuff originally in a very basic form, right? But the remake and how much more we're focusing on Midgar is allowing us to experience some of these things on a much fuller level. If you understand what I'm trying to say.
I do.
We get a much more expansive experience. And that's the one thing that is keeping me from saying, I hate that they're splitting this into multiple games. Maybe I'm not a super huge fan of that, but I like the fact that we're getting to explore some of these other relationships.
Absolutely.
And that's something, for a game, right, that has as big of a fan base as Final Fantasy VII does. No discredit. Final Fantasy VII has a monster fan base, right? But if you're going to have a fan base like that, let's explore some of those early interactions. Let's explore some more of that lore and some more of those characters. I love that. And I love the option to get to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it and it's like, if they split this up, right, which, okay, they're going to do.
Yeah.
As a player, I think to myself, you take a game that is beloved, right, and you expand out on it, and as long as you as a player, let's say you got to buy 2 things at $60, right, if you feel that you got your $60 worth each time, and you really got a full quality experience on each of these parts, you don't necessarily have to feel bad about it.
No.
You know? I mean, now if they kind of give you a shit ending here, or they give you a miserable, a shit cliffhanger type thing, like, the way they do in these movies, where you don't get any resolution, you're left with like that like crap feeling, like you just spent all this time and you didn't get anything out of it, then that's kind of a cheap way to do it. But if they give you a full quality experience, I have no problem paying for it. I mean, we always say price is what you pay, value is what you get.
Yep.
Okay? So do you get a good quality value here? And that's what you got to, that's what you have to look at. So, yeah, I don't have a problem because they have expanded on these character interactions, and with the way that the characters are able to be brought to life, that was the part of it that I know I told you I wanted to see, right? Mm-hmm. I wanted to make sure they focused on, and it does look like, for the most part, at least with what we've played so far, they've done a very good job with it.
Important. Very important.
Yep.
And I love that they did that. Let's talk about some shit I didn't like.
All right.
I mean, some of the stuff I didn't like is just, I guess, traditional RPG stuff, fetch quests.
Mm-hmm.
But
lots of them.
But it builds. It builds on.
It allows for the relationships to be developed. So
the reason that I'm giving it a pass, even though it's kind of like, oh, okay, I'm going to go talk to this guy who's dressed up as a Moogle. I'm going to go fight this guy in the town. Okay, first of all, I like the battle system, as I've told you, so I like it enough that I'm willing to put up with some of that shit. Another thing is, I like the fact that even though I'm doing these fetch quests, right, and there are some fetch quests, I feel like it's rewarding enough because I'm building my reputation as a merc in the slums, mm-hmm. right? And so that was really important to me. We talk about, again, I'm mentioning this again, player feedback loop. Does what I'm doing fucking matter? Helps me build my reputation as a merc. People are coming to me with new quests. They want me to kill these monsters. So now, I'm starting to feel like, I got to do some bitch quests, and then I'm going to get to go fight some stronger monsters. And some of these stronger monsters are actually pretty difficult. So I like that. Another thing that kind of annoyed me sometimes was when you realize that certain fights really should, keyword should, not have to, but should be fought a certain way.
Yeah.
Like, for example, when you fight Rude from the Turks, he's weak to wind. If you hit him with wind, it stuns him, you can get in there and you can hit him. Otherwise, he blocks, counters, and makes you his bitch. And it's a super difficult fight. The first time I fought him, I seriously think I slapped my controller against my counter like 4 times. I was just pissed. I'm like, God, this is fucking annoying. Hit him. Oh, counterattack, 500 damage, heal again. I used like 30 healing in my fight with him. But when I went back and I assessed him and I found what his weakness was, and I used Aurora, arrow. Oh, all of a sudden, he's not hard.
Yeah, well, did they give you a hint? Like, how did you know that was his weakness?
I used assess.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, like, in the one battle we had against the giant thing in the factory, you had one of the characters say kind of organically, he's weak to fire or weak to thunder or whatever, kind of during the combat. And I liked that, where it felt like, hey, you're in with your team, and your teammates giving you a directive about how to go after the battle. I thought that was really well done in that specific situation. And
I think they did it in that specific situation for sure, because you didn't have the assess materia yet.
True.
I have the assess materia now, so I really have no excuse not to have that equipped, or at least not to have, figure it out at some point, right? Because, and it does make sense if you think about it, he's all about hand-to-hand combat and jumping around, fighting, kicking. Well, if you take his feet out from under him and knock him over, he's going to be weak.
Yeah.
So I do like that. It feels like some of the weaknesses in the game are actually really smart. Mm-hmm. So I like that. but I don't like it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you don't fight him that way, if you don't use that magic on him, he is a fucking pain in the ass. Anybody that fought him without using Wind probably knows what I'm talking about, or they were over leveled, one of the two. So it was definitely I noticed that, right? I noticed it enough that I knew I wanted to mention it. So again, it's like a pro and a con, right? I don't know. Is it bad that some of the best sequences I've seen in this game are with side characters, like we're seeing right now?
No, that's great. In my opinion, that's great.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that's super overlooked in a lot of RPGs.
Here's the thing.
How many side characters in RPGs that we played are memorable?
I mean, I think the only one I remember is Meru from Legend of Dragoon.
There you go.
Only because she was super cute.
So name side characters.
I can't name a lot of them.
We can name Cloud and Squall, right?
Tifa, Aerith,
Zidane,
yep, Garnet,
and you got
Steiner.
And you got them, and you got the girls that they're with.
Yeah, that's it.
But it's hard to name a lot of, unless you play the game like every year,
Yeah.
The side characters they fall off.
A little bit, yeah. So, again, it's a con in the fact of, right, you think about, how come why am I remembering this character more than, I mean, I haven't seen Barrett in 4 hours, 5 hours, which is fine. I mean, it's totally fine that they're giving me more time to do these different things, which I think is great. But it's like, these are the characters that, where's my interaction with these guys, right? It's Aerith, it's Jesse, it's myself as a merc. I mean, like, the best interactions I've had in this game so far have been with side characters.
Yeah.
Like, Aerith's mom. I think it's awesome. It's awesome in the fact that we're getting to see it, right? But also, I'm just kind of like, so much to focus on. So sometimes I think about that too. I'm not trying to be super negative, but what I'm trying to say is, I can see where somebody who's like a hardcore fan of the original Final Fantasy VII that doesn't want to see anything change might kind of be like, what the fuck, At times, anyway.
Yeah.
At times.
Yeah, for me, I mean, again, especially if they're going to split the game up and you're going to have to invest multiple levels of money, I'm expecting the side characters to have legitimate, interesting points.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And reasons to exist. And not to just be there as cannon fodder. Because a lot of times, guys, when we would play the old school RPGs, right, with the battles, right, you'd throw in the meat hunks in there, right? Your guys... You'd let those low level guys or those other guys that you have just sit in there, take the damage, heal you, and you take care of everything. You'd level up your guy, and that would be it. And you just live vicariously through your main, right?
Basically.
I mean, I know that's how I always played, and I'd always want my other guys to just make sure they had enough like boosting stuff and enough whatever so they could survive, and I didn't have to worry about them. But it always felt like you lived right through the main at all times. So it is nice, in my opinion, to actually care about these other characters, and
Sure.
actually have a reason to care about them. And, some of the stuff you're doing where it's like, hey, these people are actually people. They're not just like random. You didn't just get randomly thrown in with them, and now you're helping them because you don't know what else to do with your time.
Yeah.
Like, they actually have lives and families and other things that matter.
Jesse wanted to be an actress.
There you go. So it's just other things that matter.
I never could have told you that 10 years ago.
You want to have three-dimensional characters. That is really important. That have some depth to them. So I think this is allowing for that to come out.
So right, we talk about the characters being fleshed out. We talk about the characters having their own lives, their own personalities, all those different things. And we just saw it in the previous scene with Cloud and Jesse interacting.
Yep.
Jesse's got some spunk. She's got a little attitude, right? And I like that. But I never really felt that in the original. And if it was there, I guess I don't remember it.
I hardly remembered her.
Yeah.
Like when we first saw this, I'm like, okay, which one was that again?
Yeah.
Like, again, it's hard to create that memorable character outside of the main when it's just like the three little pixels jumping up and down, and they don't have a voice, right? They just have the text. It's really difficult. So, it's always easy to identify with the character you're controlling, all right? And So that's where the difference is here, guys. On a character level, I think you're able to really, really appreciate that each of these characters has a three-dimensional, like, personality and life, and they're going to make decisions and characteristics and things that are hard to communicate in text scrolling, right?
Yeah.
So
That's fine.
I thought they did a really good job with that so far.
So this isn't really a negative, but I wanted to mention it. And I talked about audio before, right? So this is a game that, like I said, it relies very heavily on audio, on music, on sounds, on whether it's a sweeping score, whether it's One Winged Angel, whether it's, you know, the boss battle theme kicking in for the first time when you fight the Airbuster, right? So whatever the reason for it is, right? If you play this entire game, if somebody ever wants to do this as like a social experiment, cut the music. Just kill the music completely. And if there's a way to have it with just the voice on and just sound effects, no music, I think the game experience changes drastically.
And I think that's true for every big game.
It was just a final point that I wanted to make. This is a game.
I think in Final Fantasy games, because the music is so critical to the experience, that is a very valid point. Like, I mean, it's your gameplay, your emotion, because really in RPGs, great RPGs elicit emotions from the players, right? If you're not emotionally connected to the characters you're spending 100 hours with in an RPG, in a role-playing game, how do you role-play something you don't emotionally connect with?
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
It's impossible.
You don't.
Right?
And so I just have something written here. This is a game that relies super heavy on its music to set a tone. Again, think about playing this. It's like, think about watching a WWE wrestling match or any wrestling match.
Without the crowd.
Without the crowd and without the announcers. Even cutting out the announcers, it falls flat.
It's trash.
Even the hot moments.
Yeah.
Even, you know, all these other things, totally irrelevant. You don't even notice it.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a really good point to make. Compare this, right? Okay. To a game like Doom Eternal, right? Which is let's say it's one of the best frickin' first-person shooters that you and I can remember in a long time.
Very long time.
This is a great first-person shooter. Does the music add to the experience? Of course it does. Could I still enjoy Doom Eternal? Maybe not at 100%, but maybe at 80%? 70, 80%?
It wouldn't be as good without Rip and Tear kicking in.
It wouldn't. It wouldn't. No question about it. But let's say it wasn't there. I could still enjoy it. I'd still play it. But no music. Sure, I want some sound effects. I want my guns to make noise.
Yeah.
But no music at all. 70%?
Yeah, 60-70%.
Would you get 60-70% out of this without that music?
Nope.
You might get 30-40% on this.
Yep.
You have I don't need an emotional connection to Doomslayer. To take guns and go and shoot demons. Right? I just don't need an emotional connection. I like having the music in the background. I like it. It's absolutely important. And I'm not saying the game would be as good without it. But there is certainly a difference. Right? In a game like this where you must, as the player, you must be emotionally connected to these characters for this to matter at all. For you to pay for this, right? Without the music, it's a huge lacking thing. So, yes, the music is so important here.
Then I made one final statement about that. Thank God they nailed it.
And they did. Yeah, the soundtrack here is excellent.
Yep, they did.
So,
you
know, I like what we've got so far.
Here's the thing. I think you and I had this discussion. And maybe this is a topic for another video. This could be a topic for a Pleb Talk. I told you that my score on this was lower than Resident Evil 3 Remake. And you said, well, they're both remakes. They're both remakes of what we consider to be great games. Why is it lower? I feel like the newer age Final Fantasies, like we have Final Fantasy 15, whether you love it or hate it, I don't care, but whether you love it or hate it, it's the same general structure, right? Active battle, voice acting, really pretty cool environments from time to time. So, right? So it wasn't as new when I jumped into Final Fantasy VII Remake. Yes, it's gorgeous. The music's great. The voice acting's awesome. Character models are really cool. I knew what the characters should look like from watching Advent Children, right?
Yeah.
And sure, maybe they're not totally the same. I mean, anybody can argue that, sure. But I kind of knew what to expect. And we watched Advent Children, what, over 10 years ago? Even longer, 15? So, that's my point, right? So, having character models, new age character models representing these characters isn't necessarily, oh my god, day one, like this is unbelievable. I never thought they could look like this. Well, I saw it in Evan Children. I expected it to look this good. Actually, Dr. Flame and I had a discussion on Facebook chat. And he asked, what do you think about Final Fantasy VII Remake? I said, I expected it to be this good.
Yeah.
It's an 8.5 to 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
It is, hang on. If you are a hardcore Final Fantasy VII fan and are open to some changes and are open to some, what do we call that? Not remake, reimaginings.
Artistic reimaginings.
If you are open to that, and you are a big Final Fan, let me say this: if you're a big Final Fantasy fan and you are open to artistic reimaginings, buy
100%.
$60, go get it. You're gonna like it.
You're gonna have a great time.
If you want to experience the game, but are not sitting there going, I have to play this now. If you're not doing that, wait, $30. Mm-hmm. $30, it's worth it. It's worth 40.
I think it's worth 60.
Yeah, I do too. I'm not saying I don't.
You know, it depends on where you're at on the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
And if you're somebody that is like absolutely expecting this faithful
100%
moment to moment recreation of the original game, you will be left with a little disappointment, because I think for some people what happens is they have such a, like, it's like the girl that you went out with this one time, right, back in high school, right? You have such like this perfect thought in your head of her, right? That if you ever meet her again, she'll never live up to your expectations, no matter what.
Nope.
And sometimes that happens where your expectations are so high, nothing will live up to it. And if you have to have moment for moment recreation, can't change anything, all this stuff that some people seem to be on, you're going to be left with disappointment here.
Yeah, I agree. No, I totally agree.
And so I think one of the positive things for us is, it's been a long time since we visited Final Fantasy VII. Long time. So we didn't come into it with a lot of preconceived notions. We had a pretty good idea what things should look like. I think the demo really set the tone for us.
I know how it starts and I know how it ends. Yeah. That's about it.
But we were pretty open to the middle, right? We're actually wanting the middle to get a little more depth and
gutsy,
meat to
like
it.
We're seeing, yeah.
So that's great. For us, it's really great.
Yep.
Again, if everything's got to be moment to moment, I think you're gonna be better off to buy it on the old one and play it.
So yeah, let me reiterate it again. If you are like a monster RPG fan and you just need something that you can sink your teeth into, and you want the good graphics, you want the good music, and you're open to some artistic reimaginings, go buy it. You're gonna like it and have fun. I'm an 8.5 to 9 out of 10 on this. I kind of knew what to expect going into it. I figured stuff would look this good. I expected it to.
Yeah, our expectations. I don't think our expectations were unmet here.
No, I don't.
But I don't think they were like, we had pretty high expectations for what we should get.
What did I say to you? Final Fantasy VII Remake is a very above average RPG, but it's not groundbreaking. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not groundbreaking. It's just not. And that's okay, though. It doesn't have to be.
Well, I don't necessarily think groundbreaking,
yeah, it's not.
In what way, right? Like, I don't think it has to necessarily be. It is a really well done reimagining of something that people hold very dear to their hearts.
Yeah.
And as long as you're willing to allow artistic merit, you're going to be fine here.
Yeah.
And just take the game for what it is and what it's presenting, and enjoy this opportunity to get back with these characters that we all grew up with.
Yeah.
They've really presented something here, I think, in a lot of ways that allows for some of that what if, or God, it'd be cool if I got to know more about this character or that character.
Yeah.
So if you can just sit back and appreciate that, you're going to get a good experience here. And are you going to like everything? I'd say, again, this Dementor thing or whatever these little ghosts whispers, whatever they are, unless they're going somewhere really, really interesting with it, I'm 50-50 on that part of this.
Yeah.
But outside of that...
But it doesn't stop you from enjoying the game.
It doesn't stop me from enjoying what they've done here, being able to enjoy this environment in a way I've never been able to enjoy it before.
Yeah.
So it's nice to come back to this.
Like I said, it's a very above average RPG from what I've seen from RPGs in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But it's not something that I'm going to look at 20 years from now and go, oh my God, that changed my life. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's not. It's really good, though.
I'm with you.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
good.
I have no problem recommending this.
No, I have no reservations about recommending
Yeah.
it. Just provided you know what you're looking for.
Exactly.
Plebs, we want your thoughts in the comments. First of all, your thoughts on the discussion that we just had. The no BS, first impressions, whatever you want to call this. Review in progress. I've always wanted to say that. For Final Fantasy VII Remake. Give us your thoughts on that. Give us your thoughts on Final Fantasy VII Remake in general. Like the video if you enjoy these kind of discussions. And the immortal one, Mr. fucking YouTube, baby. And I will see you right here next time on the Balding Plebs for more content like this.
You're welcome.
GG and Plebs.